Hey guys, it's Ayla Melendez, aka Real Estate, and your host of the Chronicles R.E.I edition. Today we're here with episode 4, and we have Garrett Sanchez. Garrett is the CEO of Infinite Signals. Garrett, how are you doing?
Sensational. Actually, I love it. We've been laughing nonstop before we started this.
Now, Garrett, tell me about what you do at Infinite Signals.
So I'm one of the co-creators of it. My friend Jeremy and I ran with it, and what I do is I provide marketing, marketing, leads, everything along that nature, and then just really give the company outlook of everything, start creating plans, how we're going to grow the company, what are the KPIs, breaking down the numbers, where are our little loopholes, where are our potholes, where are we fucking up, where are we leaking, and how do we bring it all together. So I just kind of just have the overview of the company and really bring everyone together to be able to make sure we're all on a proper plan.
Gotcha. Now, who are you as a person outside of real estate? Because I know you started this whole industry with real estate.
Mm-hmm. Outside of real estate, I'm my original self, right? Because whenever we're fucking playing a game, we're just in the capitalism, just playing some type of game to be able to make some gains, right? But outside of real estate, I'm a person that is just a heavy lover and follower of the creator, and I want to study the things. It was put in my heart a long time ago when I was a kid, and I realized this when I was a kid. I want to study the things created with us and before us as much as I possibly can, because that's where true understanding is. That's where true reality is, right? I could learn how to play the game. I could learn how to diversify, get in real estate, this, that, and the third, crypto, stocks, all that stuff. But outside, I want to just study as much as of the creators I possibly can to hear his voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that. That was this whole thing. Regarding the real estate market, where do you see it going?
I haven't been keeping up too much with it, but one thing I will say is if you are in San Antonio, you're pretty protected in the respect that a lot of other places are like stock market cities where like the majority of retirement like heavily focuses on the stock market and things like that. But real estate isn't like that. And also we're really protected by government funding because all of the military bases. So even during the last recession, even during like any little hiccups that happen, we rarely feel it the way the rest of the country feels it, right? So I would, if you are still investing, if you're still looking for rentals and flips and multifamily and all that stuff, I would look towards those areas. Where the military cities at? Where's the government funding going? And I think we're good, to be honest. A lot of people will like give you that FUD, like that fucking fear and all that shit, and try to get you scared. But it's just, it's like listening to a critic for a movie. And then, like, you end up looking at the movie 10 years later, like, yo, this is fucking good. Like, I'm not going to listen to it. I'm going to find out myself. Is the bottom line still good? Does everything still make sense? Let me fucking run it.
And I trust your word on it because we worked together 3 years ago, right, whenever the pandemic hit. And you were one of the very few people that could, foresee what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, not many people were talking about that. A lot of people just panicked, you know what I mean? Yeah. But you were like, no, stay calm. We got this. You literally, like, predicted it.
One of my favorite things to do is it's like a superpowers research. You give me a topic, I'll dive into that bitch. I'll find something. So I remember I was up for like 2 days because it was a very strange situation to go through a pandemic and then like countries shutting down, fucking countries. So that was really strange. And I could freestyle it and try like, I have a company. I'm responsible for these people. Like that's how I feel. Whenever I own an organization, I am responsible for you, but I'm also responsible for your family in some type of sense. I just need to be able to provide opportunity. Now it's up to your ass if you're going to get the opportunity and actually put like
exactly. You can lead the horse to the water, but you can't make him drink it.
If you decide not to, that's your fault. But damn it, it's there. So I had a research on what was going to happen. And dude, I spent fucking time in that. I remember we had a meeting with all the top wholesalers in San Antonio, and like everyone was just like saying motivational shit. I was like, where's the context? Like, where's the data? Like, believe in yourself. Yeah. Okay, cool. But like, I had to come with some data, and I stayed for 2 days straight researching, and I compared it to literally Italy, how they were going down. Spain, then how it came over to New York and kind of what was the real estate laws and I was going to the most extremes to be able to be conservative. It's like what you do with your numbers. Let me go like to the kind of the low, medium area to be conservative for my personal numbers. I'm not pitching, it's just for my personal self, right? So I can make sure I come up with a good ROI. So I did that and I brought it all the way back to us and I started like kind of researching how we were during the recession and just kind of teeing it up as much as possible. I was like, we're good. Everyone just stopped doing the fucking 70, 80 on the fucking dollar.
Yeah.
Let's bring it down to 60, 65 and stop fucking bullshitting. Stop. Basically, I literally said this in the meeting.
You did. I remember. I
remember. I was like, everyone, stop fucking
and
focusing
everyone
on your
thought
crowd.
that was just like the wildest thing. Like, how are we going to buy a house that cheap?
Well, I think they're kind of offended because I said, look, I understand y'all got communities, but stop preaching that to communities. You consistent enough on their camera, people are like, oh, wow, you changed my life.
Right? And it's like all you need is people to like you, literally. Yeah. As long as people like you, anything can be sold.
You got a really good smile, bro, and like some up energy.
Yeah.
You could tell me to buy a pig, and I'm like, well, I don't know.
Well, I didn't need another pet. My dog was lonely.
I think I might be hungry in 3 months. It's like that, right? But what I love, again, to go back to it, is truth started getting demanded from everyone. Like, give me some facts, give me some substance, because I don't want to just buy a mentor, buy a coach, or start following you, and then just tell you all you're doing is believe in yourself and hustle. Okay, but like,
how do I do that?
What qualifies said hustle, sir?
Yeah.
Is there a checklist for this shit? Like, where do I put said hustle?
Yeah, it's almost like everything's so cliche because it's like, oh, here's a little motivation, but no one's teaching discipline, accountability. Like the things that actually get you through something is not being taught. It's just everyone is tricking you to where you can do it. Like just being a cheerleader versus a teacher.
Dopamine.
Very much.
They do that shit. They do that shit, and ultimately, where's my facts at? What can I actually do? And the people that are able to provide are the people that last longer. The people that really fucking like start echoing.
I agree. And moving on into this topic, do you think that social media has changed how we process information and define intelligence?
Yeah, definitely, to the T. And it's a catch, like it's a double-edged sword, right? Respectfully. On one side, you're able to process information quicker. You're able to get the data that you really, really fucking need. You don't have to like go through all these like Google articles and read through all this shit and like hear this person's life story and opinions and da. My grandma's recipe. You could find like the source and you can find it within a minute to 30 seconds. People are learning to do that. And that's a good thing. It's a blessing, but also it's kind of making the attention span very short, very, very short. Where if you're not able to capture them in the first 1.5 seconds, you're fucked. It's like, damn, what the fuck? Like, I didn't even breathe. That's how long I'm breathing. I'm taking in my breath first. I'm calming myself down before I do this video. So like, it fucks you up. Like, it's bittersweet in my opinion. But social media definitely, and you have we were just talking about this before we started shooting. Was depending on what you have on your feed was ultimately going to shape your day. And it doesn't matter how like mentally fortified you feel you might be. It's not true. You're a human being just like I am. We all have the same physiological makeup. We have the same thoughts and emotions. Some of them are just more amplified than others, right? But it's all the same shit. And if you learn how to manipulate one human, you know how to do it with others. So if my feed is nothing but drama, celebrity, fucking bitch getting choked at, like you saw that chick, the one that got body slammed by the security guard?
Yeah.
Everywhere. If it's nothing but that type of stuff, I'm eating fast food for my mind. I'm not taking care of myself. I'm not actually growing. And who doesn't love to scroll? You could try to lie all day and say,
exactly. You subconsciously do it.
Bro, it's fun to scroll. It's enjoyable. It's like little dopamine here. It's like, oh, this video's cool. Oh, this video's cool. You get stuck sometimes, and that's okay. So instead of fighting something that feels good, just reprogram it to where you're getting substance, you're getting science, you're getting facts, you're getting knowledge.
And one thing I want to say is Garrett Sanchez, you're going to learn something about anything when you talk to him. It doesn't matter what the question is. It's going to come with a fun fact. You're going to get the history of it. Like, this is Garrett Sanchez. I appreciate you being here. It's like every I could literally talk about a popsicle and you're going to be like, well, in 1943, red used to not be red, but but I appreciate that you're bringing awareness, because I know everyone has some form of intelligence, but you're very passionate about emotional intelligence. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What's that to you?
So I grew up in a household that was very hardcore per se, right? And you have the regular typical man, thug it out, but he's an emotional man. You could tell that he wants to love unconditionally. He just doesn't know how to process how, because he never had it growing up, right? But he provided. So he was good, quote unquote, but he was never good. He was corroding inside because he didn't know how to talk about his shit. Then you have a mother that comes from the hood and literally shows anyone unconditional love. I mean, I'm talking about unconditional love, but it bites her in the ass because she never learned healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
So people are constantly pinching from her, taking from her, using her, abusing her. And then you have this strong, beautiful, independent, single mother that always provided for me and took care of me. And sometimes will fucking stick me in my jaw. You see what I'm saying? She was a beautiful, beautiful influence in my life, but you see her slowly corroding and fading because people are chipping away at this stone over time, and water will get it, right? So I saw all this, and instead of trying to go into the regular masculine, like hide your emotions, da da da. That was back then, right? Hide your emotions, da da da. I started exploring them as much as I could. And then because where I grew up, and because what I did when I was a child, I lost them for 2 years. I wasn't able to feel anything because I grew up in the hood. I did shit. I did bad shit. I was ultimately suicidal most of my life. So I put myself in situations where I would get touched. I would get hit, and it never happened. I have 9 tally marks. I need to add 10 on my wrist for the times I've almost died. So all of this coming together, when I was finally able to experience emotions again, I got really excited. But during that 2-year process, I had to learn how to mimic. I had to learn how to study people so I could be normal in front of society. What is it like to be happy? What is it like to love? What is it like to be embraced? What is it like to hug? What is it like to be compassionate, actually want to hear about your life, actually want to, right?
To be so self-aware to where you can, have an
I was
outer
14.
body experience and you're just like, this is what happiness is. I like this. I want that for me.
And I was like 14, 13.
It's like you were cherry picking emotions from watching
Pretty
people.
much. And then I was studying as many videos at the time. I'm talking about like movies and artists and like kind of seeing what people really like and putting characters together. And that's just archetypes that goes into Carl Jung, right? If anyone studies that stuff. So then when I brought it back, I started learning what emotional intelligence was because I had to be aware of it. But when I was able to feel again, I had this beautiful dictionary of like different emotions and how to move it within the face. Like joy is if you put this little eyebrow up and then like a little smirk on this side, and then it would give joy like that. And I'm studying this shit when I was a kid because of the traumatic shit I went through. So I had to grow up quick, right? And I had to make sense of the reality around me. So then that carried into just emotional intelligence in general of learning how to love myself and learning how to, I used to be manically depressed, and it taught me how to ultimately learn how to live in a constant state of gratitude where life is always happening for you, not to you. There's always a blessing somewhere. And as long as you have one option to work on, you're good. But how do I emotionally get myself fixated on that so I don't get drowned out by all the noise? You see what I'm saying? So we're pretty horrible to ourselves in our head.
What was your process like whenever you were learning to love yourself?
Oh, man. So I just got locked up. Suicide survivor, successful company at the time, but I just wasn't happy. I practice empathy. I don't practice empathy anymore. I practice sympathy. Both the same thing. I love you, understand you, care for you, unconditionally there for you. But empathy says, I'll do for you before I do for me. Sympathy creates a healthy boundary, says, I love you, I got you, I understand you, but I'll do it when you got yourself. You feel me? And I learned that when I was locked up through my therapist in there. His name was Darnell. He was the shit. He was an asshole. He was like, stop lying. I'm like, okay, fine. Stop telling you stories. I was like, all right. So I started learning that, and I learned how to be forgiving. I learned how to stop romanticizing pain. It's okay to deal with the pain. It's okay to address the pain. It's okay to process the pain. You're talking about 3,000 plus years for the Homo sapien, our species, been around. If it wasn't supposed to be there, depression, anger, anxiety, if it wasn't supposed to be there, it would be fucking gone. But it's there. Every emotion is good. Every single one of them. It's just an overflow of said emotion is what fucks you up. Overset of love, you become obsessive and fucking weirdo. You're getting your ass blocked in your straight order.
Too much of something good can still be bad for you.
I have my cake waiting at home. It's just,
I believe that 100%. You always got cake. Is it? You got some in your pocket?
Pastries. I love donuts. But that's where it started. I needed to understand this stuff, and then I started learning how to love myself and just ultimately forgive myself. One of the biggest things I did was look in the mirror, and I challenge anyone to do this, just anyone to do this. Look in the mirror and tell yourself you're sorry, and ask yourself to be your best friend again, and ask yourself to have your back again, and just apologize. Tears.
To just be vulnerable with yourself.
Just talk to you. It's like, I'm sorry for what I did, and you know I meant good, but I love you. Can I be there for you again? And then you start learning to embrace yourself again. You start learning to grow again. And in doing so, I'm always happy. Even when the hard shit goes on, I'm able to, and since I'm able to see things like this from a state of gratitude, I'm able to see from the balcony. So I'm not pinpoint focused on getting my opinion and like, let me see what's going on. And it really helps out.
Yeah, I believe that. And speaking on vulnerability, how difficult is it for men or even young men to talk about what they're going through?
Very, very, very difficult. When I was growing up, I actually liked to be around women primarily because with men, there always has to be some leader. of the pack was when you're younger. Like when you get older, you know how to like not do stupid shit like that, not try to like dominate someone.
Yeah.
If you do, you're gonna get sidestepped. You know what I'm saying? But when you're younger, it's just natural. You just want to like, who's the leader of the pack, and then someone got to feel kind of inferior, and then you're not able to talk about your shit. If you do, you this, that, and the third. All these different fucking names come at you, so then you learn how to cut, and it's cool for tough skin and all that shit. But just like, dog, I'm hurting. So who could you talk to? Homegirls. And the homegirls always helped you out because they were going through it too, and they were like, they're fucking emotional, just like their hormones are kicking.
Women are emotional creatures.
Well, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. The divine feminine energy, like they're able to like, they're actually educating themselves at a young age to be able to deal with these hormones, and guys aren't. Men need to too. Men need to understand how their hormones react. They need to understand how they're fucking like low testosterone, bro. Now you tired. Now it's not even about the sex shit. Like now you tired, bro. Now you're not able to focus. You don't have mental clarity just because of testosterone.
Yeah. When you don't feel good, you don't perform good.
Exactly. So you fucked off. So like men need to, and younger men, they're starting to get pushed with the old traditional way of fucking living and shit. Like, okay. Like, they're getting pushed with that shit. Like, I respect some of it. I don't respect some of it, right?
Yeah.
You pick and choose. But they're getting taught again, like, thug it out, thug it out, thug it out. Sometimes I can't thug it out. Sometimes I need to process this shit. Yeah. And the thugging it out I actually need to do is the shit you too scared to do. In the respect that you fucking say, thug it out, work, work, work. Why aren't you dealing with your shit? Why aren't you dealing with your lost father?
Yeah. That's the easy route when you run from a problem.
Yeah, let me work. Let me work. Nah, deal with it, bro. Yeah. Be alone with your voices. Yeah. Learn your shadow. Yeah. Can you be friends with that shit? And then when you're actually able to, I'm telling you, for any man or younger man, learn your shadow. Learn to be best friends. You could go to Carl Jung for that shit if you need to. The shadow side of you, it's really important. But yeah, I think it's really, really important for us to do.
Have you read any books regarding vulnerability that can help any young men help process those emotions?
So whenever I study, I like to study people that like spend their life's work on scientific disciplines. I don't really go into motivational speakers or anything. I read Dale Carnegie, I read Napoleon Hill, I read Alan Watts. I read the OGs. Everyone else is now copying the OGs and adding fucking cussing words and like some cool story and like, and you can do it too. I'm a badass. It's just getting me so I'm not going to buy your fifth book on the same shit. Yeah. So I like to go to the actual studies. So you need to understand how you work as a human. And this goes in entrepreneurship, this goes in real estate, it goes into anything. You need to understand who you are as a human. So what you're going to want to study is CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. Why? Cognition is how you take in and process information. This is all information. Even how I'm moving right now, everyone's taking in and processing, and how I take it and process it. Then you're going to learn about cognitive biases. Like, have you ever been doing a task at home and you're just talking out loud about the task you're doing? You sound crazy because you're talking to yourself, right? Yeah. You're not crazy. That's called mapping. A cognitive bias is so a cognition is how I process information, take it in. A cognitive bias is how I use said processed information. So do you know that? Do you know that there's like fucking 1,000 of them? Can you be able to pick and choose which ones you like to be able to put a study to it? You see what I'm saying? And then if I go to like the dark side of yourself, so when it comes to this stuff, is like if I go to Carl Jung, I keep repeating him. Go to Carl Jung, learn what archetypes are. Learn how you became the Joker or the hero or the thug and things like that, and learn how you see that within your classroom, within your family. Learn this stuff because you're going to learn about human nature. You're going to learn about human behavior and what we accept and what we don't through societal standards. You're going to learn about that stuff, and when you do, you're able to process your emotions. You're able to basically peel away all the social costumes, and then you're finally able to say, "Oh, there I am. What's good? How are you?" And then you start praying, and then you start really you dive deep into yourself. But study the science. Go to Carl Jung. Go to cognitive behavioral therapy. Yeah, that's it. There we go.
That's a wrap. That's right.
If you go to those things, you'll be good.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Who are you as a human? Like, do you know who you are? Yeah. I'm excited to hear this from you because you're going to break this down to the science.
This is a very, very interesting question. I don't think I've ever been asked this. So me as a human is a sacrifice. I gave myself up a very, very long time ago. In the respect, again, I was suicidal for most of my life. I only actually tried to practice. You could always have a plan and all that other shit, but when you actually try to practice, that was when I was 24, 25. But because of that, I remember I surrendered my life. I literally told the Creator in tears, I said, I don't really want to be here, and you kind of forced me to. So even if it's just sacrifice my life, even just to save one or as many as you want, I would love for it to be 1,000 so it can be meaningful in some random fucking philosophy of my human existence, right? But even if it's just for someone else, may I be able to show your unconditional love that you have always blessed me with. And in doing so, it's kind of like I was given an insight into a lot of things, which we could all get. No one's special per se. No one has more favor. That doesn't exist. We're all equal. So it's just I feel like my life has always been a giant sacrifice in this. I haven't been able to attach to a lot of things because I realize it's going to go one day.
Oh,
Um,
wow. So you
but
have no expectation. It's
no,
just
it's
as
just flow.
is. Yeah.
But in flowing, you can learn unconditional love and gratitude. In flowing, you can learn how to cause ripples that will be waves within the present moment because you are in the present moment,
Mm-hmm.
right? And everything is a constant state of surrender. So since I'm constantly surrendering, since I'm constantly, you see me when I was like, you used to work in the office with me, I was always mumbling, always mumbling. I'm just talking to the Yahweh. I'm just talking to the Creator. But in doing so, I'm giving the knowledge on how to move, what to do next, how to guide the conversation, how not to be manipulative, how not to be a piece of shit, how to actually care for them, how to ask the right question that you know that they're dealing with, but they haven't said it out loud.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
And in doing so, it's just, I feel like my life has always been that way. How can I learn the language of the Creator and His unconditional love? And also, how can I be a vessel for it?
Mm-hmm. I love that so much.
Thank you.
Now I know you also do. Are you big on genetics? Like what you know about genetics?
Behavioral genetics has been one of my favorite studies. I highly recommend people to do this, but only do it when you're actually really you have a desire to
Why
learn
is
about.
that?
Because it's science. It's just right in your face. There's not like, well, here's my story when I was 4 years old. And
It's
my
just
mother, fact. But I mean, it's fucking good.
Uh-huh.
So one of my favorite people to study, he also reminds me of my first mentor. But one of my favorite people to study is called Robert Sapolsky. Robert Sapolsky teaches at Stanford behavioral genetics, and you can literally find his course on YouTube. You can buy his book. There's also you could go to Coursera and you could take a behavioral genetics class. It's not by him, but it is a behavioral genetics class. But when you learn this, it teaches you fully about human behavior from a millisecond all the way to per millennia on your genetic disposition. And it brings it down to this is the behavior that's happening right now and how most behaviors actually start panning themselves out 2 weeks prior to them actually happening. And you could, once you understand it and once you start looking at the study, oh, it's just this, this, and this. It's not just one scientific field. It's not just sociology. It's not just behavioralism. It's not just psychology. It's a plethora of scientific disciplines bringing it all together saying that's why you move. But you're not going to know that. You're not going to know to ask those questions until you actually study the fucking facts. You see what I'm saying? And it's been one of my favorite things to study, and I highly recommend everyone get that book, Behave, or at least get the audio book and kind of check it out. But it'll fuck you up. It's literally a manual. It's a manual to human behavior, like a full manual. And it's intense to read, but I love it.
Wow. How many times have you read that book?
Twice.
And every
sometimes
time
I'll put the audiobook on too. That book is torn the fuck up at my crib.
Those are the best books.
Yeah.
If it's not raggedy, you didn't read it enough.
And I put it right, like whenever I do videos, I put it right there. It's like I put in work on this one. It's intense. I love
it. So B.F. Watson, he's a famous psychologist. He says, "Give me control of people's music. I don't care who writes it."
Yeah, Watson was pretty categorical thinking. And when it comes to like systems and processes, I could be categorical, meaning I could do black and white thinking, right? But when it comes to human behavior, there's no such thing. There's no such thing as an A type or a B type, introvert, extrovert.
It just is.
It's whatever I choose to be now, right? But the choose to be now was still influenced by other factors prior to. That's a thing. But with Watson, he always tried to he would get a group of fucking kids and he would do all these different types of experiments that were very questionable. But with that is he felt like through conditioning, he can manipulate you to be like a lawyer, a doctor, or anything along this nature. But you're forgetting the genetic disposition of the individual. You're forgetting what happens if he has a sense of alcoholism or addiction in his family. It's a small 8%, but then once he's on a really, really good road, but as soon as he gets to college, he starts getting around too much partying, and then boom, it all goes to shit. There's too many what ifs in that situation when it comes to scientific disciplines. You can't have that many, right? And it talks about just regular condition, all this other shit, and just he's right per se, but not fully. His science started getting a little bit educated on and started evolving. But you can still condition people with music all day. I mean, did anyone ever see that fucking that interview with one of the Bone Thugs and Harmony guys? It was fucked up. Did you ever see it?
Nuh-uh.
Dude, he literally fucking says it right there in the interview. He's like, we got pulled in, whole group of motherfucking white people, whole group of some higher ups, and they literally said, we understand that you have $1 million contracts, but we could 10x that.
Golly.
And they were like, well, what do we do? He was like, what I need you to do is talk about guns more, talk about gangs more, talk about all this shit more, because what we do is we're going to allow you to invest in private prisons. We're going to allow you to invest in private prisons. And they said, but we need product. We need assets. And the only way to do that is through media to program the individuals.
Wow.
Most of these rappers ain't doing none of that shit.
Yeah.
And he literally calls it out. He says, no, it's true. We're not.
Yep.
making real bread with real investments, doing
Yep.
real shit. But y'all are fucking up because y'all want to live into the image and y'all want to be hype and all this other shit. And now, boom, we got a
Yeah,
product.
they're
Now
doing it from a business aspect. They're a consumer.
we're programming our
It's tech.
products exactly like
Yeah.
the educational system within America.
Yeah.
Let me program assets to be able to work for me
Mm-hmm.
constantly to be able
Yeah.
to run the bigger companies. And that's exactly what they did. So
Yeah.
yeah, it'll fuck you up though. So don't. He had some good studies.
Do you think that we're in a matrix?
I hate that word.
What's a better word for it?
I don't think we understand it yet.
Why is that?
This reality, we can't understand it yet. Like
We're all just kind of existing.
we could per se to a certain glimpse,
Uh-huh.
right? You see this with people that actually start making substantial money. They're all about the hustle, all about the grind, but then out of nowhere, boom, they flip the script and now it's about spirituality. And that makes sense because they escaped and now they're able to focus on real reality. But to think we're in a simulation or the matrix or like a computer or anything along that nature, I think that's too limiting. It's like when they would write in the Bible and they would talk about stuff that they saw in visions way into the future, but they had to break it down in some type of way that they comprehended right there and then. And I think that's what we're doing with that. But do I think there's multiple universes? Yeah. Do I think there's multiple me's? Yeah. Definitely.
You do?
Oh, of course. Do I believe in dark energy, dark matter, and things like that? Do I think that the fourth dimension actually exists where I could put my hand here and I'll end up here because in the fourth dimension things are immortal? There's no such thing as a beginning and an end, and you could use time and space like a tangible object like this. Yeah, all day. How do I get to it as a third dimensional being? That's different. But I don't think we're in a matrix per se. I think we're just on the lower frames of dimensions.
Got it. I have a deep question for you. How do you interpret this? Life's dim windows of the soul distorts the heavens from pole to pole and convinces you into believing the lie that one sees with and not through the eye.
To sum that up for people that are in real estate that don't like read poetry or study philosophy, they're talking about perspective. That's what it is. Your human conditioning, your human perspective, if not programmed correctly, will definitely leave you kind of like what we're talking about with fucking the Bone Thug shit, or we're talking about it like earlier in this podcast. It will leave you with some pretty dark thoughts if you don't learn how to train it properly to be able to really experience and surrender and open yourself. Basically, get out of the way of your own fucking blessings to allow the true light to come in so you can see the true reality that there's nothing but unconditional love from the Creator, from the heavens, flowing through us constantly, always opportunity. But if your perspective is fuck off, you're not going to see it. There might be $1 million right here, but because I don't look, so you're looking through the wrong window. Yep. Get your ass outside. Breathe some air.
Shifting to real estate, do you think people in real estate are too surface level?
Yes, but
how so?
You have to kind of be sometimes. But I feel like they don't understand balance again. That doesn't need to be your personality all the time. When it comes to capitalism, when it comes to owning a business, sometimes people just will not talk to you if you have no value. It is what it is. And that's okay to a certain degree. Yeah. Because what happens if you're really dismissing someone that has a lot of value? They're just kind of sizing up your character, your morals. I know you make money. I know I can make money with you, but do I like you? It starts coming down to that question when you're well off enough, right? Yeah. But the catch-22 to that is some people just fucking bug you in your DMs constantly. Let me pick your brain. And
the worst question. You got to ask them, let me pick your pocket.
I'm going to send them my cash app. It's Dr. Jew, PhD. That wants to send me some money. So, like, literally, you have to be service level sometimes. It's like, hey, what's up, dog? I have so many people come up to me at fucking events. What's up, dog? And dog, they start telling me about some story. I'm like, I don't know who the fuck you are.
Me either. Especially when the picture don't look.
Yeah, and like, I follow you on Facebook for 2 years. I comment on your stuff. It's like, you expect me to look at your Facebook? Like, I'm not going to click, who's this? I'm keep it pushing, bro. Like, I got shit to do. I'm just like posting for fucking branding. Like, what the fuck? So, but you have to be surface.
It's good to interact with them sometimes.
But you have to be surface level sometimes to be able to keep your sanity and keep like your privacy, your own life. On the other side, it's just balance. It's just balance. Yeah. But sometimes too, in real estate, I did notice, and I make fun of this shit all the time. People get a little too egocentric. They get a little too hyped up. I'm like, man, you're just a glorified middleman. All you do is push paper. Well, you're not saving lives. What the fuck? You're not doing something stupendous. Like,
if you look at my social media, you wouldn't know anything about my personal life. I don't post anything. Like, you're going to see me going to the gym here and there. You know, like, you don't know what gym I go to. You don't know what time I go because I posted at different times. Like,
it's on brand.
So it's like you don't know any. No one knows sibling, dog, pet. No one knows anything. Like, if you look at my social media, you don't know. You want them or what? No, no, but like I just don't post. I'm still personable. I'll still talk about relatable things, but you're not going to see anyone I'm related to. The closest people to me are not on my social media.
Yeah.
So.
Actually, I got a question for you.
Okay.
It's very interesting you say that, but like you are one of the most outgoing individuals I know, but you really love to be like to yourself.
I'm not outgoing at all. I'm just very
Well, like,
open-minded
you go for it,
and
is what I'm saying.
adventurous.
You are outgoing though, and like you could try to say you're not, but your actions prove different. Like you go against the grain because I know like you to yourself. We've known each other for quite some time. You're to yourself. You like to focus. You have a high moral sense, a high standard sense, and like if people don't meet that shit, you cool with it, but you're gonna start like you smart with it.
I
You see what I'm saying?
appreciate that.
But what encourages you, and how has it helped you to just constantly put yourself out there?
That's such a good question. I feel like you had this. So,
5 o'clock in the morning.
What encourages me to still put myself out there? Well, like honestly, my biggest passion is teaching. Like ever since I was little, like the people who play with Barbies and things, like I always played like classroom. I always wanted to teach something about nothing. It doesn't matter. Like I'm very passionate about learning and teaching. So ever since I was little, I wanted to be a teacher. But then I was like, I hated school. I barely made it out of high school. I hate school. It just wasn't for me. Like I'm terrible at taking tests. It's quiet. I get anxiety. Like I know everything. I'm the best note taker ever. But if you got to make me take a test, I'm not going to go off my memory. So I fail tests all the time. So, and then I was like, oh, I don't want to go to college too. I was like, the amount of work you have to put in to be a teacher to make like minimum wage, it's not worth it. And teachers are the most influential people of this world. They know and teach things that sometimes parents don't have time or their own knowledge to even learn. So the fact that they're so underpaid is crazy. They need to be, I feel like teachers should literally get paid as close as doctors. Like that's how influential of a person you are.
That's your child's life.
Exactly. And those kids are sometimes, a child's escape. If things aren't going well at home, they look to school for a better day. So I was like, teachers literally have such an important job. But then I found out how much money they make, and I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, all that passion is out of the door. No. But I'm still very passionate about it. But I knew that wasn't the route. So whenever I did get into real estate, like I put myself out there because I'm always posting. If it's not some level of motivation, something simple, then it's always like a fact. Like I want to just teach someone something. I'm like, hey, this deadline, hey, this is how you do this. Like I'm just giving free knowledge about stuff that is like never taught. Like, cause I know like in real estate, everyone's teaching wholesaling, everyone's teaching, flipping. I'm like, no, hey, if you do something like this street, you know what I mean? Like I'm actually teaching things that can be applied. Even like in a walkthrough video, I'm like, hey, if you see a floor like this, look for this. This means this. People don't teach you that. Oh yeah,
like,
but I have
what I'm saying. Like you really put yourself out there. It's like I could like learn how to do this shit, but I'm just gonna become a fucking contractor.
I love learning. Like if I could be certified in everything, I probably would, just so I can learn and then like reteach it to people. Because it's stuff that it's like everything I know is because I failed doing it. I never know anything proactively. Like I've messed up so much. I was like, take it from me, like
my bank account did.
Right. I'm like, I crawled so y'all can run. But yeah, I was like I love learning from people that actually did things. So I want to do that. You know what I mean? Like anything I messed up on, I teach it like willingly.
Yeah.
So I just love that. That's why I put myself out there because like so many people told me, hey, that's cool that I learned that, and I'll send you SOPs for it. So I love events, that.
You actually know that. You do better than me. You actually keep contact with people.
Oh yeah, I'm good at following. That's why I was good at Dispo. Because it's like, keeping a relationship, but sellers, that's so draining. Meeting new people,
I got new interactions. So I remember when you first came into the office, you had a certain like twang about you, right? You had a certain thing about you. But then when you left and started going independent and doing your own shit, respectfully, you develop and you grow. So what changed for you primarily from old ways of thinking versus to when you actually started exploring like mental attitude, spirituality, learning how to like ground yourself, meditations and things like that? What actually like switched up for you and actually really started helping you release a lot of old character traits and putting on new ones to benefit your future?
I guess it was just the fact that I saw the results from it. Like, I feel like energy is so easily transferable. I got into real estate and got around people that are happy, people making money, and it's such good energy. Like, I'm very much 100% an introvert, but I get around, you know what I mean? Like and it sounds so cliche, but it's like you being around people that are making money, they're in good moods. You know what I mean? Versus like exactly. Like whenever I worked a 9 to 5 before I got into real estate, like everyone hated their job. So I hated it. And it wasn't even bad. I just hated it because they hated created it. Like it's literally like the mentality, the everything. Like I was literally
That
a product of
proximity.
my habitat.
That proximity.
And once I got into real estate, I was like, dang, like I literally had to change everything about me. It was like I still am very shy, very nervous, everything. But it's like I was like, I like this because this, like it actually feels good. So I was like,
There's actually, you know the science behind that?
I want to know.
You know what I mean? So we're all made of atoms, right? Matter.
Mhm.
Inside of matter is atoms. Inside of atoms are subatomic particles. It's
Mhm.
theorized that inside of subatomic particles
Mhm.
is a string of energy. And depending on how you twing that string, will create a subatomic particle, thus atoms, thus matter,
Mhm.
right? All of this tangible shit. And matter exchanges with all of these tangible items throughout a course of time.
Mhm.
So if you're in proximity with these people, you actually are, scientifically speaking, sharing their energy,
Mhm.
right? And when it comes to energy, there's data written on that code. The way they feel, the way they process, the way. Have you ever seen like it's kind of a weird analogy, but it'll stick with your head. Have you ever seen like when a frog gets decapitated, right, and then it's about to go into the pot,
Mhm.
and it still knows, its body still knows to like get the fuck out. It's still
Yeah.
programmed. It still has that memory. It still has that data on how to react and what to do,
Mhm.
right? Or the phantom limbs and things like that. We still understand.
Mhm.
So when you're exchanging energy with all these people, you understand how to be depressed.
Mhm.
You understand how to look for a quick gratification to be able to get over the depression. You understand how to make a lot of money. You understand how to be happy. You understand how to live in a state of gratitude. You start understanding with your proximity, it's not just a cool high Q when they say your top fucking 10 or 5 friends. No, there's science behind it, and you respect that shit.
Yeah. I love that.
Oh, no, right?
Now, I know that Elon Musk, he recently said money is not currency, it's energy. What's your thoughts on that?
It is simply an idea. And where people fuck up is they make it the thing to focus on. They make it the thing to focus on. It's just a product. It's a thing.
They don't have a higher purpose other than the money?
It doesn't really exist. It doesn't. And when you're able to have that sense of detachment, you don't have a sense of goal or glorifying a certain dollar amount. So therefore, any dollar amount is allowed to come to you. It's just a vehicle to be able to go get some chicken strips, bro. That's all it is. It's literally just a vehicle to be able to get you to what you ultimately desire. And where a lot of people fuck up is they make the money, the dollar amount, let's become a millionaire, the desire.
Yep.
They make that the desire. So then they lose focus of what actually costs them every single day. What is that thing that's itching away at you, that fucking problem that you have, that you see in society? Because ultimately, if you provide the service for that right there, it's all gonna come to you. But you're too fixated on a thing instead of the thing, which is the thing is your purpose.
Yeah.
You could be fucking doing pool work, but it could be such a fucking calling to you.
Exactly.
That you're the best out of nowhere. Now you made all this fucking money when you're working at like a law firm or something like that. Like you went towards your purpose, and you can't lose sight of that. You can't lose sight of that.
Yeah. What about this? Are UFOs real?
Yes.
Why?
But I don't think there's like little green men in them.
Are they gray?
No. I think they're just drones. I just think they're drones. You're talking about being able to stop on a dime and move like that. Can the body fucking really like handle that type of G-force, that type of movement? I doubt so. So I think they're just drones. Now, where they come from, that's a whole different fucking thing. There's a lot on that. But yeah, of course. And it would be stupid not to think. It would be very human of us, I should say, instead. Very
You're
human
like
of
all
us,
of us.
to think that we're the only people. Everything revolves around us for some reason, right? We didn't even think dogs have emotions. Well, dogs got emotions. Plants got emotions. Everything that's conscious got an emotion. But for some odd reason, for a long time, no, they don't. Only we do. Always a sense of superiority. And then we're not even the first type of humans that existed.
Exactly.
There's humans prior to. There's humans are very intelligent people prior to the Ice Age as well. That's when the Great Flood happened, right? But you have all that shit. So I believe in them. Where they come from, it's debatable.
Okay. If you could uncover one world secret, what would it be?
Magic.
Why magic?
So magic does exist. It is real. But all it really is, just to put it simply, is a manipulation of energy. That's all it is. So there's energy all around us. How can I manipulate it, move it? How can I learn some of the occult stuff, some of the mystic stuff? I want to learn it. I want to see it. Show it to me now. I want to learn all the hidden shit. There's other species out there. There's other things out there. I've seen some. Seen them clear as day.
What have you seen?
A vampire. Met one before.
What?
When I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah, it was fucking crazy.
Tell me
Blacked
this
out
story.
for 2 days.
Oh my
I don't remember
God.
shit. I was younger. I was hanging out with some friends that we all practice some Morgan and Frey from her book, The Book of the Moon. And we practice some of these things, right? And we practice certain types of magic where we could kind of see the future, help you deal with traumas and things like that, and certain summoning sometimes. So we did this stuff. I'm still a Christian and all this stuff, so the Holy Spirit protected me through it all. But long story short, they're like, hey, should we let him meet him? Let him meet him. And no one wanted me to because, again, the Holy Spirit lived within me. So it's kind of hard for me to mix with certain types of energies.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually they say yes, and I walk up to the guy, and we walk up to his house, and it's his girl sitting on the couch, and all of a sudden we're sitting in the kitchen for some reason on the floor. I don't fucking know why. But he's like, yeah, and we're just having this conversation. He's like, I'm a vampire. I was like, okay, yeah, sure, me too. The fuck?
Aren't we all?
I'm a pro athlete. I'm 6'9". So then he's like, no, really, and he shows me a picture, and it's an old ass crumbling picture of like the old Western, and it's him.
Mm-hmm.
Clear as day, right there. I'm looking at him. I look at it. It's him. There's no wrinkles, no change at all. I was like, what the fuck? And I started looking at it because around that time it was still MySpace era.
Oh,
so there wasn't like a lot of editing and shit like that.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at
There's
it.
no way it could have been Photoshopped.
It was crumbling.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, nah, fuck that. And then he looked at me, smiled, and he went like this. Literally just like this. And there was a lighter on the floor. It just zooped to me. And then after it zooped to me, blacked out. And then the Monday came. And then fucking I went home.
Oh my God. So you stayed there for 2 days?
I don't remember. I woke up at my friend's house, which his house was like literally like down the block, but I don't remember anything. And I was sober than a motherfucker. Like